In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a large wall decal that is bigger than the size of your Cricut mat, and I'm also going to show you some tips of how to apply that large decal to a wall. So if you're interested in that, make sure you stay tuned. If you're new here, my name is Nisha. Welcome to Little Craft Nest. And if you're interested in crafting and Cricut tutorials, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Here's the image I'm going to be using for my large wall decal. Now, I just typed this out in Cricut Design Space. Whether you're doing an image or text, the process is going to be the same for doing a larger than that image. You'll notice too on the screen that I'm zoomed out to 25%. So this is actually quite a large image. So if we select everything here, if we go to the top, you'll see that it's 34 inches wide and 36 inches high. So it is a very large decal. Now, your Cricut machine cannot cut out an image this big all in one go. So we need to break this image up into smaller chunks, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do, because these are all separate lines here, I'm going to select my entire image and I'm going to go down to combine and click on unite, just so that this is one image and I'm not moving pieces around too much. So as you can see on the side in the layers panel, we have an exclamation mark here. So if you were to click on that, it's telling us that our image is too big and we need to reduce the size to 11.5 by 23.5 or less. Now, if you had a Maker 3 or an Explorer 3, you'd still need a width of no more than 11.5 inches, but you could make it longer than 23.5 inches if you were using Smart Vinyl. Now, I currently do not own a Maker 3 or an Explorer 3, so we are doing this on the large 12 by 24 inch mat. So what we need to do is make our cut template. So we're going to go over to shapes and we're going to grab the square, and we're going to size our square to a size that we can actually cut out on our machine. So if we go up to the top here under width, we are going to do 23.5, and I'm going to click this unlock button in between the width and height, so just click on that, and then we're going to change our height to 11.5. So this rectangle right here is the largest size we can cut on our 24-inch mat. Now I'm going to go over to operation and change this to guide. This is going to allow me to be able to see through my rectangle and know exactly where I'm slicing. Now we're going to need more than one of these, so before you go ahead and make them over and over again, all you have to do is duplicate this. So if we go over to the top of the right hand panel, we can just click on duplicate a few times and then we will have a few guides. So we're going to set these extra ones aside over here. The next step we need to do is figure out where we want to slice our image. And we could just slice one section at a time. So if I have this guide here, it's going over top of these other words, and I can go ahead and slice right through those words if I wanted to. But if you didn't want any cut lines in your design, you can make your rectangle a little smaller, bring it up here, and we would be slicing this out here. I'm going to press undo, because I actually want to slice through my words. So you may be wondering, why do you want cut lines going through your words? You don't need to, but I'm actually going to do it for this project just because it's going to be so much easier for me to line up the design on the wall if I can put it together like a puzzle rather than one line at a time. There's going to be a better chance that I'm going to get it on the wall a little straighter. And I'm also going to be using a level when I put this on the wall just to make sure it's straight. Now that I've decided this is the first section I want cut out, I can select my guideline and our text here. And then we're going to go down over to the bottom right and click on slice. Now I want to keep both the top and the bottom section, and that's why I didn't use a subtract function. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Just make sure you're using slice when you're doing this. But we do want to get rid of these extra guide layers. So we're going to have two of them. So we have this red text here. So we're going to get rid of that. And we're going to get rid of this as well. And so we're left with this piece right here. And I'm just going to make this a different color just for now, so I don't get confused when I'm slicing up the rest of this image. So this piece is now red. I know this is the right size that my Cricut can cut. If you go over to the layers panel, you'll notice I do not have a warning symbol near this piece. However, if we click on this image, we still do have the warning symbol here, so we need to slice this up in a few more pieces. So if we grab our guide layer again, we need to figure out where we want the next cut to be. You don't have to keep your guide layer horizontal. If you want, you can flip it. So if you go up to rotate and do a 90-degree angle, then our guide is going the other way. So you can also do slices this way as well. And if you're not sure you want to commit to that certain spot, you're like, I don't want to cut that out yet, you can grab another guide layer and you can just kind of play around until you have the puzzle that you want and the sliced lines are in the right space. So the next slice I think I'm going to do here is between news and joy. And that way I can get the top of this T and the top of the J, and I can line these pieces up when I place it on the wall. So this is going to be my next cut. And so I'm going to select my guide layer and our big layer of text here. And then we're going to click on slice again. And then once again, we need to remove those guide layers. So we're going to get rid of this. And we got one more hiding here. And we're going to delete this. And so here is our next piece, and you'll see we don't have a warning beside this piece, but we definitely still have a warning beside this piece, so we have to keep slicing this one up. And then this, when we put it on the wall, so we'll start with this top piece, and we can put this one right underneath, and you can see how our ends will connect together right there, so we know we are putting this on straight. So I'm going to go ahead and slice this up a few more times. So I'm basically just doing the same thing over and over, grabbing those layers, going to the bottom, clicking on slice, removing those duplicate guide layers that we don't need, and then saving our slice piece over here. So I'm going to finish slicing this up, and then we can go ahead and get our machine to cut it out. And if you want, while you're working on your design, you can just change the colors. We're not going to be cutting it out all different colors. It just really helps you see how many mats you will need for your cut. So right now we're at 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slice this one up just a few more times. So here are my final slice pieces. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I did the verse by itself at the bottom, so that's 8. So we have 8 different pieces that we're going to need to put together on the wall. Now we don't have to keep these all different colors, so I'm just going to highlight everything, and let's make that all black again. And just as I'm puzzling this together on the screen, we'll be puzzling it together on the wall. So let's go ahead and press make it. So at the top here is just telling us one of our images is bigger than 11.5. We know that, that's okay, so just press OK. Now we're going to take a look at our mats here. So here's the first mat, and it added our verse here at the bottom because it just fit on this mat as well. So I'm just going to slide it so there's a bit more of a gap in between, and we'll just cut that one off of this one here. And let's take a look at our second mat. So this is going to be this piece, and we're just going to go through them all, just making sure everything's where we want it to be. And then we're just going to click on continue, and we're just using regular vinyl for this project. So I'm going to click on vinyl. So let's go load our mats and get this cut out. So I'm going to be using Oracle 631 for this, which is a removable vinyl, and it works great for wall decals, especially if you're not planning to keep your wall decal on your wall permanently. And to get it to stick to your mat real good, especially if your mat is a little older and it's not quite as sticky, use a brayer because it just really helps smooth out all those wrinkles and gets it to stick to your mat really well. So here are all the pieces laid out on my floor. They're all cut and weeded out. Now we need to apply transfer tape and get it on the wall. So for the transfer tape, I'm using Aura Tape MT80P. And I got this at my local vinyl supply shop. I'm not sure if you can get it online, but if you can, I'll leave a link for it down below. So we're going to apply transfer tape right on top of here. And you can use the same piece of transfer tape over and over if you like, or you can apply transfer tape to each section. So as you can see here, I cut some of the excess off and I'm going to put this over top and you can see right through it. So you have a good cutting guideline. So I'm going to cut this roughly the same size as my vinyl decal and then apply it on top. And that way I can save these extra pieces for another project or for another piece of this puzzle. And then we're going to flip our transfer tape over and we're just going to remove the backing of it. And we're going to apply it right over top of our design. We're going to start at one end and then just smooth this out over top. And I didn't line that up quite right, so we can quickly pull that back off and try that again. And I did miss a little piece at the end, but that's okay. I've got a little trick for that. I can cut that piece off and we can stick this on top of that. Not a big deal. And then just go over top with your brayer and smooth that on there. And if you got some extra stickiness overlapping, you can just cut that out as well because that might be a little bit annoying. So I'm just going to leave my design like this for now and bring all my pieces over to the church before we put it up on the wall. And when I do get to the church, we are going to flip our design pieces over and we're just going to slowly peel back our backing and our vinyl decal will be stuck to our transfer tape and I will show you how to get it up on the wall. So I went to the church to put up my large wall decal and I was so thankful that I had an extra set of hands to help me. So if you're putting up a large vinyl decal, it's so helpful to have someone else there helping you. I'm also thankful to my 10-year-old daughter who did her best to get some clips of the process. The first thing we did was measure the wall of the little alcove of where we were putting the vinyl decal so we could find the center. I also took out a level and put a straight line on the wall of where I wanted the top of our wall decal to line up. Just make sure you use a pencil because you will want to erase it after. You really want to make sure the very first piece you put on the wall is straight because if that first piece is off, your whole entire decal will look off and you'll be very disappointed. So make sure you measure or level twice. The next step is to completely remove the vinyl backing from your design. I find using my large scraper to pull back the backing really helps assist get that backing off the vinyl. But don't throw that vinyl backing out because we're going to use that again and we're going to lay it right back on top of our design. The reason we want to pull it off first is just to make sure it comes off smoothly, but we want to put it back on so our whole design isn't sticking to the wall at the same time and messing up our process. And then what I find helps really well is cutting off half of that vinyl backing. Now you can stick that half on again and line it up on the wall before you peel half of it off, or you can just leave half of that backing off. Then you'll want to place that first piece on the wall. And you want to take your time with this because you really want to get it on straight. So you may want to grab some painter's tape to temporarily hold your design in place. Grab the level again and make sure that your design is level before getting your vinyl to fully stick to the wall. So I lined up the top of my design with that pencil mark I had made earlier to make sure it was straight. And then I got my large scraper and slowly varnished the vinyl design starting in the center and moving outwards to avoid any bubbles. Once that half of the design is on the wall, you can go ahead and remove the backing from the rest of your decal. So once again, we're going to start in the middle and push our design outwards. And then you'll want to go over your whole design again, make sure it's stuck on the wall really well, and then you can slowly peel back your transfer tape. Once that's done, we're going to apply the next piece of our puzzle. We're going to do the exact same thing as we did with the first, but we're going to be lining up the second piece with the first piece. So if you get this second piece lined up perfectly, your piece should go on the wall just as straight as your first piece went on the wall. So you shouldn't need to measure or use a level again for the second piece if you got that first piece on straight. So for this piece, I started off by lining up the top and the bottom half of the letter D, and then everything else just fell into place. And then you're just going to repeat this process with all the other pieces, lining up your design and applying it to the wall. It did take us quite a bit of time to get the wall decal up, so I was very thankful to have that extra set of hands, just because this design was in a very public place, so I wanted to make sure the design was straight and wasn't an eyesore at all. But I absolutely love how it turned out. I love the simplicity of it, and it just really adds a really nice focal point in the church. On the same day, we actually decorated the rest of our church, and I just love how the sanctuary turned out, so I thought I'd show you a clip of that as well. I hope you enjoyed today's project. If you have any questions at all, please leave them down below in the comments. If you're interested in making a larger than matte cardstock project, I also have a video on that, which I will link down below in the description. I'd love to know what type of projects you're working on, so let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you on more crafting adventures.